There is nothing called perfection. If you do your best in any given situation, that's enough.
Senthil, welcome to Through the Lens. This is our show where we celebrate cinematographers, we celebrate your art of cinematography. I'm so happy you could be here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So
Thanks a lot for inviting me.
You know, this show, Senthil, is divided to 5 sections. I'm going to start by asking you 5 questions about your art. The most intriguing thing to me is that you insist in your interviews that this art should be invisible. Yes. Right? You always say that if someone comes out of the theatre and says, what great cinematography, you have failed. Why?
See, first and foremost, according to me, is filmmaking is storytelling. So it is like how much you engross the audience into cinema is something which is like your work as a cinematographer. I personally feel like my work as a cinematographer is to help my director tell his story in the best possible way, not overtaking him and telling that, okay, I am also there kind of a thing. So it is like, okay, like in whatever best possible way the director wants the audience to feel in that point of time. So that is where you have to push. Suppose like the actors in the film or the director wants the audience to feel that a wow kind of a moment in it. Yeah, that's where you have to push them to feel that wow visually kind of a thing. So it is not like someone is getting emotionally involved in something, or like some scene is happening something, but they are more engrossed with something else which is happening on screen. So that is what is a clash of ideology kind of thing, which I don't feel like kind of a thing.
So like, it can't be too pretty or too removed from what the director is doing.
It is to be right. It is not about being pretty or being like moody or anything like that. It is to be like, okay, what is right for that moment which is happening on screen. So is it to be like, is it to be bright or dark, or like it has to be like very pretty kind of thing. Suppose a hero is looking at a heroine and like he's getting impressed. So probably at that point of time, being extremely glamorous and pretty is fine. But so it's like being right at what is happening on screen. How much am I using my art to support it is something which I'm always looking forward to.
And you don't look for applause?
If you do a great job, you call for an interview like this. So that itself is a big applause.
Senthil, your most sort of defining professional relationship has, of course, been with S.S. Rajamouli. Yes. Right? You started working with him 2004 with Sai, and I want to just read out all the films. So there's Sai, Chhatrapati, Yamadonga, Magadhira, Eega, 2 Baahubali films, and of course RRR. Yes. I mean, that's almost 20 years, yes, right, of working with one artist. Yes. When you work so closely together for such a long time, how do you continue to surprise each other? How do you challenge each other?
Rajamouli is one director like who is always looking to push the boundaries of himself and the team. So like when we started off with Sai, we had a target of, okay, like whom to reach, what kind of a film he wants to make. So with every film he's pushing the boundaries. So that, and with every film he's challenging. So that is what is actually like, okay, like every film we are looking out not like what we have done to recreate it, but to push beyond what we have done. So that is itself a big challenge.
That's a given.
Yeah, that's a given kind of thing. So that's what like, and I don't expect to do the same thing what I have been doing. That's why if you take my films, there is no trademark of, okay, this is Senthil's film kind of thing. It's like every film is unique in its own way, and it has to be presented in a unique way. So like, okay, what am I going to do in this film is the film should define, not I should define, like kind of. That is the approach, that is my approach towards my work. So everyone has different approaches. I'm not telling that my approach is the right thing, but that is what I have been believing in, and that's what like has helped me grow in my field which I am in. So every film is a challenge, and every film which I do is the whatever work I have done, whatever I have seen or whatever I have gone through in my life, all that experiences put together and it comes out in every film which you do.
Yeah.
So that's what like improves or like is something which defines the work which you are doing, kind of thing.
But let's say, obviously by now you must have some shorthand, right? You must understand each other.
Yes.
Also because the films you've done were so challenging.
Yeah.
You know, you spent years and years making Baahubali, the two films, or an RRR. So when that shorthand is set between two artists,
Yeah.
is there ever a danger of, I know you said you challenge yourself, but is there a danger of becoming too comfortable in a relationship?
Like earlier when we started off with Sai, we used to discuss so much about each shot, how we have to do it and all. So over a period of time, now we don't discuss much. So now we tells, okay, like this is the shot we want to do. So, and okay, like on location, we know for sure. Because also like the time we spend in pre-production is very, very huge. Like, for example, like RRR or Baahubali, we spend more than a year like trying to understand like, okay, what is the look we are heading towards, what he is looking at, kind of thing. So in that time, we try to understand, okay, like I do lots of referencing, okay, like this is what I am thinking about, what I think. So these discussions and all like go on. So once we are on the set, we know exactly what we are going to do. And yeah, as you told, comfort is something which is sometimes good and sometimes not good, kind of thing. So in that way, like we both make sure that if he doesn't like what the shot I am doing, he'll come up to me and tell Senthil, no, maybe we should, I don't think this is happening. Or like if he tells me like, then because of this long relation, we have that open discussion happening. Like if I want, okay, if he tells me a shot, then I feel that maybe no, we should be approaching in a different way, kind of a thing. He is open for it and I am open for it. So finally, we know that we are both working for the film, kind of a thing. So that
you guys fight?
Yeah, lots of times it happens.
What happens? Matlab, skimming and all?
No.
Polite fighting.
It's polite fighting. Because like I always feel like on the film set, like people are looking up to you, kind of thing, as a director, as a cinematographer. You have a huge crew which is looking up to you. So you can't be losing cool. So because they actually, like I keep telling Rajamouli, like the whole unit draws energy from you. And if you like actually like lose out, then everything goes haywire, kind of a thing. So we try to keep it like, okay, like as simple as possible, kind of thing.
Well, you know, Senthil, one of the highlights of Rajamouli's cinema is the hero introduction.
Yeah.
Right? And from the beginning, from Sai, from that shark with Prabhas and Chhatrapati, all the way to the RRR intros, there's like some incredible work and magic happening in those introductions. I want you to explain to us, like, how do you design these? You know, what point do you get involved with it? And you have to service the story, like you said, of course, but you also have to service the persona of the star because he's working with massive stars, and of course the vision of the director.
Yes.
So how does this happen?
See, like right from the beginning, like Rajamouli as a definite, okay, like hero introduction, interval sequence, grand climax. This has been his pattern, which he like interestingly changes with every film, here and there, kind of a thing. So, but that is standard. So people who come to the theater also expect it, and because like he works with stars who have really, really big fan following, like hardcore fan following. So they want to see like their star when he's introduced in a certain way, kind of a thing. So that is a challenge for him more than me as a director. Like he and the story writers and all, like so at the moment the idea of how it has to be introduced is come, so I come into the picture. Like once the idea is locked down,
He'll bounce the idea off you.
the idea of it.
Okay.
Then like we work on like do we need concept artists to come and like, okay, like do we define movements in this, or we tell the action choreographer if he's involved, like, okay, like we do this kind of an action we want, and then we block it there. So it is purely a gradually evolving process which happens till we are satisfied. For that matter, Mr. Rajamouli is satisfied.
So while you're designing these shots, right, the hero introduction shot, or like you said, the pre-interval, the climax, have you ever had a moment in these 19 odd years of working with Rajamouli where he's said to you, this is what's in my head, and you said to him, impossible, cannot do this? Because his ideas are just beyond anyone's imagination.
Initially, it was like that, ma'am. Like it was because like we were not used to so much of visual effects and other things. So practically how to pull it off was always a challenge kind of a thing. But as of now, with today's technology and all, nothing is impossible. So what you dream of, only thing is you have to work towards making it happen. That is the only thing. So, and I know like lots of his ideas are out of this world, but the kind of confidence he exhibits. So because of it, initially because I come from film school, where like we always look at like logic and like a film has to be certain way and all. So getting into this mass entertaining movies was little difficult for me to digest initially. But once I saw how the audience are reacting to it and how they are perceiving it, then I completely changed the way I started looking at cinema kind of a thing. So just I gave into the kind of film you want to make it, and that's how the collaboration actually like worked. And with given today's technology and the kind of budgets which are there for our films, so anything and everything is like a possible kind of a thing. You only have to have a clear vision and you have to work towards achieving that.
So he can tell you anything and you're like, we'll figure a way.
Yeah,
really?
Exactly. It's something like that kind of thing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. No, because he also gives lots of time for pre-production stages of how to crack the things. So he's so at the time of writing the story, and he doesn't put any like breaks or limitations of it has to be done in a certain way. He gives the writers the complete freedom to think whatever wild they can think. So like then it is our thing like okay now how do we do it? So like do we do it practically? Do we use VFX? Do we use practical effects? Or like how are we going to do it? Or is it's going to be like simple, complicated? So how, if it is complicated, how complicated? So all that thing we have to do a breakdown of the thing. Like for example in Baahubali, like climbing up the waterfall.
Yeah.
Or when Ram and Beam saved the kid. So these sequences are extremely complicated sequences which had so many different collaboration from different artists of different specializations. So it was broken down to the smallest detail of what we have to do in each shot kind of a thing. So because of which it was we were very clear about whose job is what at which point of time. So we could crack it to the best possible way.
Yeah. He's such a fearless storyteller.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think you have to be very brave to come up with these ideas and commit to them. You know, you talked, Senthil, in an interview about how when the movies went from celluloid to digital, you said it pushed cinema to another level, but it also introduced a craftlessness. So I want you to explain this. What do you mean? How did digital push cinema, and what is this craftlessness?
See, it so happened like for example, when you're shooting on celluloid, you need to understand every part of it. You need to understand the optics. You need to understand your storage of the negative film kind of a thing, like how it has to be loaded, unloaded, what are the precautions you have to take, and like how the chemicals react to your negative, like what is the development if you want to do anything in the lab. So there is so many process called push process, pull process, bleach process. There's so many processes which used to happen. So you need to understand so many technicalities kind of a thing. Okay, keeping the technicalities aside, so like for example, like you have to shoot a shot, you need to lots of preparation because the thing was like negative was expensive. Yeah. So people used to prepare for, okay, like I don't want to waste my negative. Okay, like even people were afraid to give claps. And especially when you're doing slow motion shots, they were very, very sure of what exactly you want to do, because the moment the camera is on, your negative is over. Like 10,000 rupees, at that point of time, you would go in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds kind of thing. Though they were very sure about what exactly happening. Vis-a-vis, now today's time, that fear of thing is gone, and there are lots of filmmakers I have seen are not prepared. Earlier, people wanted to create some magic. Now people are wanting the magic to happen. So nowadays I have seen that people shoot with like 5 cameras, 6 cameras, 10 cameras. So that is when I told like craftlessness is coming in, because like people are not preparing for it. They're just coming, shooting, and okay, like whatever comes, okay, we'll do it kind of thing.
We'll fix it in post.
It is more about capturing rather than creating something.
Yeah.
It is more about like just okay 10 camera लगा है, capture किया, so okay, जो भी अच्छा आया use करेंगे kind of thing. So sometimes you will get something which is unimaginably good, but is the credit yours?
So you're relying on the machine to do what you should do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what. So that is what I meant, like craftlessness is coming in.
Yeah. And how is digital taken cinema to the next level?
Because it has made life easy in so many ways, kind of a thing. Like for example, like I have to do a very like a sequence in a completely dim light, kind of a thing. So earlier I had to like really think about like how much light should I put, how much. So nowadays it is so easy. I can actually like come to a set and think, okay, like can I shoot it in the best possible way, in the most realistic possible way. So earlier it was difficult. Now it is very easy. So in this way you can actually push to a limit, kind of a thing, becoming as what I can say, as cinema has become as easy to do as possible, kind of thing, as of now. So in that way it is pushing us. Like for example, like if you want to suddenly go onto the street and shoot, kind of a thing. So you can easily, like, you don't need to actually like worry about how the light is going to be, and also however the light is, you can actually capture the image, kind of a thing. So in that sense, in so many ways, it has really helped us.
It's enabled.
It's enabled us in a way.
Yeah.
It has really like it supported us in doing whatever it.
And it's I suppose it's given you a sense of freedom.
Exactly. Yes.
है ना? Because you can then go out and think
Yeah.
of many
Yeah,
more things.
Exactly. Possibilities have increased.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Speaking of light, so I think it's fascinating that you originally did not actually want to be a DOP. Your friend had a form for the Film and Television Institute,
Yeah.
and you said, "Why waste the form? Let me fill it out."
True.
I think that's incredible. But then you said that you fell in love with light.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Actually, like when I joined the film school, after joining the film school, I actually like was just like, okay, just because I wrote and I got through the entrance, and there was an orientation course which happened. Like it's a week's orientation course. So at that point of time, I really fell in love with cinema. The first film I saw, still I remember, is a film called Red Beard by Akira Kurosawa. When I saw that film, somehow like, really like I was like really fascinated. Ki I have never seen that kind of cinema before. That it was all about, for me, like Amitabh Bachchan was the biggest star, like so Mani Ratnam was the biggest director. I was not exposed to world cinema. So when I saw that film, I was really fascinated, and people were discussing so much about it. I was feeling like left out. I was like, इनको इतना कुछ दिख रहा है film में. Why can't I see it, kind of a thing. So that was the curiosity which generated, and over a period of that 1 week, I was thinking, because I was the youngest actually, like the moment I graduated, I joined, I wrote the entrance. So people with me were like actually like some 5th attempt, 6th attempt they were giving. So I thought like, and people worked in the industry and came and all. So I was sure that I'm not going to get a seat. But somehow God's grace, I got it. And I always thought like, if I don't get it, I'm going to write it the next time. So that was the impact which that 1 week gave. And from then it was all about like, okay, because I did not know anything about cinema, I had to put in my 100% to learn so many things. So that actually helped me in so many ways.
And you said that wherever you go, you start observing how the light falls. Anywhere, chutti pe, anywhere.
See, now also I'm talking to you, suddenly like I'm seeing like inka naak pe dikh raha, but I know that camera is there, so it won't actually catch that kind of a thing. So it has become a part of like, but initial stages it was, I was very, very observant. Like we used to like early morning in film school, I remember like early morning we used to go to have chai in Deccan area, Lucky restaurant and all. So there like I always was fascinated when they told like night, blue light hona chahiye, moonlight and all. Like moonlight blue kyun hona chahiye? Because I don't see blue. Why should I light it blue? But when I was sitting in the restaurant, it was like warm inside, and it was like early morning around like 5 o'clock or something like that. And suddenly I can clearly see that outside the restaurant it was like blue, because like we were sitting in warm bare light. So that actually like that was like, oh, maybe this is why people tell that, okay, like ye blue hona chahiye kind of a thing. So wherever I go, I started observing light. So because I know like I need to recreate this in the studio floor. So for that, this observation is something which is necessary. So probably like directors observe how people react, what is the body language. So in for me actually like I observe that also, and also I like observe the light, which is very, very important part of cinematography.
How wonderful. Do your friends or family ever get irritated with you?
Initially, I used to tell them all that, but now like
You
I
keep it to
only
yourself?
keep it to myself. Especially nowadays, like when they take selfies and all, I will like, okay, आँख के नीचे light टिकना है, थोड़ा आगे पीछे, they're like, तुम बंद करो, बस ये moment capture करना है हमको. We are not worried about how the light falls.
That's so fabulous. Senthil, on that note, we're going to go into our next section and talk to you about 4 of my favorite shots from your films. So, Senthil, we now are going to speak about 4 of the shots from your films, starting with a shot that I think is just, I remember sitting in a theater. And when I saw this, like all of us just screamed. It was like an out-of-body experience. And Atlee told me that every film there's a God shot. Okay, so one shot that God gives you, which is just perfect for me. This is not only the God shot of the film, it's the God shot of all films made in that entire year. And of course, you know which one I'm talking about. It is this spectacular one with animals coming out. So this is just magnificent. Like, tell me the first conversation about this scene.
Like since he is a tribe kind of a thing, so he wants to use animals, and like NTR is actually known as tiger in our state kind of a thing. So director wanted to do something. So initially, like his introduction, if you remember, was also about tiger. So so with the tiger is introduced. So he wanted some really like because this the kind of legacy he has, all his interval in all his films, the interval is the highlight of the film. It is sometimes better than the climax itself. So like right from his first film where like student number 1, like there's a fight sequence where he closes all the things, shutters, and like there's a huge fight which is happening. So in that way he wanted to create a moment where like which was like out of this world. And this particularly this interval is the phase off of 2 of the biggest stars of our time kind of a thing in Telugu cinema. So he wanted it to be like out of this world kind of a thing. So he was bouncing ideas kind of thing, and we have a very good concept artist called Mr. Pratik. So he told this concept to him, and he and I think Gopi also, like these 2 guys. So he told them, and like he got the concept done. So I was like, okay, like when I saw the concept, I was like, how do we pull this off? That was the biggest thing. So, but it was like really, really fascinating kind of a thing. Like, and I was really like looking forward to shooting this kind of thing. So we did extensive research of how to pull it off and all things. So finally, you see the result.
But I read that the entire sequence, from the time where the car is to when finally, he's been caught, where NTR has been caught, took 17
nights.
70 nights. And
70 nights of shooting, actually. Like for every sequence we had, see, like if you see the interval, it is divided into so many things. Like first it is like, okay, this sequence where like the truck which comes and ramps, and like you see the moment the animals come out kind of, that is a sequence. Then second is like when Ram Charan enters. Then after, like that is one sequence when there is like then the fight between them kind of a thing. So this was like as so many like parts. It was divided into so many parts kind of a thing, and the phase off between them, then the element of water and fire. So that was something which we did extensive what I can say research, and like every shot we were like, okay, how to execute it kind of a thing. So this put together, probably it was in itself more than 120-130 days of shoot and pre-work kind of a thing. So,
and how do you decide? Again, I read that you had like little I don't know, motorized something going around for the animals. What was that?
So like actually like there were so many like thousands of people thousands of people running around everywhere. So they just can't be running around like mad because like some animals are coming towards them. So they need to see and react kind of thing. So for that our VFX supervisor Srinivas Mohan suggested that we use robotic cars which had sticks on it with the animals' faces on it. So it used to come. So so looking at that, like should be like run away, scared, like how much scared you have to be. So those kind of things. And also it was a reference for us in the post to, okay, the track of the animal which is running. This is the path which the animal takes. So we can actually track it and put an animal in that place. So those kind of things we did it. So that was, that robotic car really helped us. And then the major part was from my side, lighting up such a huge...
I was just going to ask, how do you light a scene like this?
So like, and today, thanks to digital, this is what like, when I told like digital helped us. So today, like in digital camera, you can like, in negative, the native ASA was like 500 was the maximum. Now you have 1000 like 800 ASA, 1600 ASA, 3200. You can push, and with less lights, you can actually pull off sequences kind of a thing. The most challenging part was there were lots of slow motion in this. Slow motions means extra lights kind of a thing, like so much of power of output we need. So I seriously don't remember the kind of number of generators we use. It was like I used to like just put it on my gaffer and tell, okay, मेरे को ऐसा setup चाहिए. I want this in certain way. Like you ask the producer if he has anything, like he will talk to me kind of thing. So I used him as a shield and I gave my requirements, which was like enormous kind of thing.
Approximately kitna?
I don't remember, but we had some. It was like a big construction site. So we had this 200 feet cranes, which each crane had something like you call it a moonlight box kind of a thing. And one more thing is I like soft light, even if it is highlight or anything like that. I like soft light. I don't like harsh backlights and other things. So the moment you put a skimmer on it, the intensity of light comes down. So you need more number of lights kind of thing. So in that way, like each box was a 20 by 20 box, and each box had there's something called Dino lights. Dino lights, it was like some 20 Dinos, and some had what I can say, this sky panels and other things. So depending upon the kind of light I wanted, so I don't know, like I seriously don't remember the amount of light I used, but it was like huge. And I can't be, I used 5 cranes because like for every sequence I can't be shifting one crane from one corner to the other corner. So it's like I wanted certain shots needed backlight and some needed frontal light. So I placed in all the 4 corners one light, and one crane was for me to like position it according to the creative choice, like where I want it. It was like the running kind of a thing. So that was enormous setup actually. Like
that's incredible. So
we used lots of real fire also, like what I can say, like the new lights which are come with like ARRI, sky panels and all, they have inbuilt effects of fire and other things. When I keep it now, the way like I felt that the reflection in the eyes is you can still see the light. So what I did was like I used lots of rods which had holes in it. So cylinder connect kiya, fire. So I had frames which had fire in it. So I used to put for fill light and all that. That was the light which was there, like the actual fire was there, kind of a thing. So which gave that feeling of real fire around them, kind of a thing. So that I used. There are so many techniques at small points we used. It so happened that when we were testing once, suddenly like because in the sequence, if you see, lots of tents are on fire. So when we are doing tests, one tent was on fire. We did one test, and suddenly like smoke was going. So seeing fire through the smoke was very dramatic. So I took some video and showed the Rajamouli. So he's like, okay, like when Ram and Bhim are fighting, we'll use this as a background kind of a thing. So we tried to implement that into it. So like so many places, like on set, we discovered so many things we used. There.
So you're saying it took 130 days, meaning literally you could have shot another film?
Yeah, sort of.
Hannah? In the time that it took to create the sequence. Yes. Well, because but it's so stunning that obviously it would take that long.
Like I remember yesterday also, like Sundeep Chatterjee, I was talking to him. He was telling like when I saw that, I was like stunned. I got up out of my chair and I was like, this is kind of a moment I want to define, and this is what ये देख के हम लोग फिल्म में आए थे, फिल्म करने के लिए.
Exactly. It was incredible.
When we were doing the sequence of like NTR jumping out of it, so there was fire. He is supposed to jump with fire and all. So like I wanted like I was trying to know, okay, like he's going to have fire, but actually like he can't be jumping with fire, and when it is dangerous thing. So how do we do it? So my gaffer came up with the idea of like we use light bulbs and all, like when he's holding, because that light is the light which interacts on him and all the animals around him also. So that's a reference of like how the light source is, kind of a thing. So we used some 500, 250 watt bulbs and other things in it. And it was a huge cable, and it was also like given that effect with DMX. It was connected to DMX, give that little fire kind of an effect to it and all. So these kind of a small experiments we did too. So it all added up, and like we got a really
spectacular shot. Absolutely. Okay, here's the next one. So I became an admirer of Rajamouli with Eega. To me, it is just the most incredible, ambitious film that has ever been made. And this is one of my favorite parts where, you think all is lost. The poor fly, one wing has been sliced off, and ab kya hone wala hai? And of course, he saves the day no matter what. But this was for me truly incredible.
Build-ups are like silly.
It's incredible. Look at the athletic kind of movement of the legs.
He was expecting to be scared. He's like heroically jumping and running towards fire.
This is just spectacular. And of course, the villain is dead. This was, of course, years ago when you didn't have, the same level of tech or visual effects. What was it like to do this?
Even after doing RRR, still I feel this is the most challenging film I have done in my career.
Much more than RRR.
Yeah, much more. Because like we did not have any referencing or anything like how to go about it. No one has done anything like this kind of a thing. The closest people have done is like animation kind of things. So lots of referencing I did was from Bug's Life and all those kind of things. But yeah, in animation it is easy to pull it off. But in real life, how do we? That was the biggest challenge kind of a thing. So like the biggest challenge in this film for our team was how to create the hero. Because like initially when we were doing research for this film, we got so many flies. We told like our assistants to go and catch flies.
You're studying flies.
Studying flies.
Huh.
Then we found out that if we expose them to cold temperatures, they like become unconscious for some time, like maybe like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then they get consciousness and fly off. So we used to take flies, do macro photography, and when we saw it, it was like really ugly. Flies were, and there were so many different types of flies, and they were like ugly. So how do we derive to at our hero as to be like, people have to watch him for almost 2.5 hours or something like that. So then slowly we arrived at ये इसमें ये अच्छा नहीं है, तो like okay, let's change this kind of a thing. So like that, like with lots of artists, we worked with so many artists who actually like started designing our fly kind of. So finally,
so you invented,
sort of arrived at
custom-made fly.
Custom-made fly, exactly. That is the thing. We custom made a fly hero.
Huh.
So like that was the first challenge once we got it. So now my other challenge was like, okay, like Rajamouli told, okay, fly is going to walk on this, it's going to fly like this, like that and all. So now my thing was like, he's going to be on the ground. So like, how do I shoot it when it is on, we're walking on the ground. How do I put my camera there, kind of a thing? Because the fly is so small, my lens is so big actually. Like, so the center of the lens is like the center. If I put
Correct. It'll be
it
underneath.
will be like, so it will be somewhere in the corner. So how do I get about it?
Yeah.
So like then I found there is something called probe lenses, which are like use the periscopic lenses ka technology and all, like. So the lens is small and the lens is of that height, and but it has a tube and all, which is like it is attached to the camera. So those kind of lenses we used. But the problem with that lenses is they need humongous amount of light. So like because there something called depth of field is very, very small. Like if I shoot it normally, the only this part will be in focus and you will not know what is behind and right. So but in film you can't do like that. Like I think in advertisement and all they use it, but that's only a small area that I light it up. So now I need to light up a floor. The set, Sudeep's house is actually a studio set which we built in Ramanadu studio. It's a full floor set. So light up such a big floor with so much of intensity is like really unimaginable. There's lots of unlearning which happened. Like when you light up a certain sequence, so like okay, like if 2.8 is this much, that contrast is this much and all. But when it is 20 times more that, you actually don't know. When you're seeing it, everything is white. So you don't know like their contrast ratios, how it is like. So you have to start depending upon your meter rather than your judgment, kind of a thing. So light meter, so then the one more challenge, especially in the climax, was we were shooting extreme slow motion shots. Like we're shooting 2000 and 1000 frames at that time. Like because all the blast just before this sequence, he shoots randomly with the guns.
Yeah.
So all that Rajamouli wanted was extreme slow motion kind of a thing. So at that time we were digital was not there. Like we were shooting in 500 days a film, and like among us, I remember like Samantha coming to the sets with the towel wrapped around. So shot se pehle towel. Okay, then because it was so hot. So like the moment the shot is over, like okay, towel ke bahar jao kind of a thing. So it was like really a very tough shooting this sequence. And yeah, like as I told, like getting the fly's point of view was the biggest challenge for me in this film. Like how do I get derive at it, and thanks to Rajamouli that he really gave me time to understand and experiment and like did tests before actually going to shoot and other things. So in that way, like and emotionally also, this is a really great sequence.
It is.
Of like what I can say, like even if the sacrifice which is making, you made it so dramatic, like like you actually like I seriously like in recently when RRR was being played in US and all, so they screened Eega also. Like people reacted like it was like a new film they are seeing, kind of a thing, and they were so connected with the emotions. It's like I'm really like proud to be a part of this kind of film.
So your toughest hero was actually a fly.
Yeah. Seriously, like it is. It really intimidated me, because before that I did all like Magadira was before that, and Yamadonga and all. They
Which
were
was
like
also tough.
Big sets. They were tough.
Yeah.
Like,
Yamadanga was the biggest set
exactly
in Asia or something, right?
So it was like really tough. So but then I was like, okay, like abhi big sets will not intimidate me. I was in that kind of a state, and suddenly there was a small fly which was like, "Arey, abhi isko kaise shoot kare? How do I shoot it?" So that really gave me nightmares.
How fantastic!
Thanks to this animation cinema, like okay, like I could like at least some reference point to start with. Okay, like how do I go with? Okay, they did it in that way. So how do I get it into real life situation? How do I shoot it? So that was their kind of thing.
You know, this shot from Baahubali is also just, I mean, of course, these films have many incredible shots, but this one of the killing of Baahubali, where, you know, this whole movement where Katappa makes that decision, and the way you use fire. Again, fire is a recurring note. This, that it's all shadow, you know, silhouette. And then this part where you actually do all this, and of course it's deeply emotional.
राज्यादेश तुम्हें मारने का आदेश था महाराज का.
And then he's gone. And you have again just these silhouettes and the way he's framed. Even in death, he is very much a king.
Yeah, exactly.
The posture is absolutely regal. He doesn't give in an inch. This is just spectacular. This is amazing. The idea that the evil is bigger than the man. This shadow, it's like this almost this ominous shadow just coming forward. How did you create this?
Actually, it was not there. Rajamouli just wanted him to come as a silhouette. So then when we're actually lighting up for the silhouette, there were lots of, smoke which was there. So suddenly I saw it was like the smoke was acting like a screen, and you could actually see the image coming out and it. So I told him let us try something like this. So he was like, oh yeah, this is dramatizing the whole thing. It just happened by accident. It was not pre-planned or anything.
This was a happy accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So when I was lighting it, then okay, now we need the smoke to stay, and because if the smoke is too fast, you can't actually get the image shadow or to fall on it. So how to go about it? So that was the challenge. It was it purely that is when I told you observation is very important. So it was just suddenly when I put the light, I could actually see it for a second and it just disappeared. Then I was like, oh, wow, this is what we want, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Then actually we used little of CG assistance, but majority 90% of the whole thing was pulled off on screen. But it was actually not holding on for a longer time. So for that, I used little of CG assistance to register it for some time, kind of thing. So that really dramatized the whole sequence.
And this, of course, Senthil, was the sort of most kind of anticipated part. Ki Katappa ne Baahubali ko kyun mara, right?
That was also that initially it was not supposed how the film was supposed to end.
Right.
So it was thanks to Keeravani, he told okay, we need to have some hook.
It was the cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
Yes.
We need to have so it was his idea that we put that sequence. Then it became so iconic, and we had to do something to justify to that, live up to that.
For 1 year, all of us were just like, kyun mara, kyun mara. But how did you guys decide that we need fire in this way? We'll use shadows like this. We'll use silhouettes like this. Was it just to create more drama?
It was to create more drama. But the first, when we were shooting the first part, that was the only shot we shot actually of Katappa just killing. We did not shoot any of this. So we just did not want to show gore in it and all this kind of thing. That's why that shot looks little different from the other shots. It completely silhouette, because initially when we shot that, we did not have this much of drama and other things. We knew it, but we did not know that it will just become so much big that it will become a talk of the country kind of a thing. So that was shot first, when we were shooting the first part. Towards the end, when Keeravani gar suggested that okay, let us end with it. So that was shot with fire in the backdrop kind of thing. Then since that happened, then fire came into it dramatically, and we dramatized it in a bigger way kind of a thing. So shooting this was very difficult, because we tried to put a little fire, but it was so unbearable thing. So everything was shot just by lighting it and on blue screen. I used a heavy light. Even the light which I used was very a little on the brighter side in terms of for the actors to bear. But yeah, we really have dedicated actors who don't mind it, did not mind it. So some actors are there who are okay, nahi, bahut garam hai, kind of a thing.
So the fire was all added later?
Yeah, fire. We had little fire. It was increased later. And it was shot in layers kind of thing. We shot in layers. We shot that is fire is not complete CG. It is real fire, but it was shot in layers kind of thing. First we shot the actors, then we removed the actors, then we add the fire. So like to match that, I had to match it with lighting, the kind of what I can say interaction which fire had on them. So that I had to shoot with the artificial lights. So then it was actually like put in together to give that dramatic effect.
It's remarkable, and it's just, you know, it leaves such an emotional impact when you see it. Okay, and this is the last one, which is of course Ram's introduction in RRR, which is just spectacular. I read that this was actually done pre-COVID, so you had 2,000 to 3,000 people there, but a lot of it is actually in camera. So please, because so this is of course the opening, and then you have him going through the thousands of men, but then you get to this point at the end when he comes back to the police station and you see that fire in his eye. How was all of this achieved?
See, like this started with like if you remember Magadira, so there is a sequence where he fights 100 men.
Who can forget? That is an iconic sequence.
That was the standard, like said by Rajamouli. Like also, Ram Charan fought 100 people. So now he has to do something bigger than that kind of a thing.
Now he fights 2,000 people.
Yeah, or more than that kind of a thing. So based on that idea, this thing came up kind of a thing. And like I still remember Charan was very apprehensive when we were doing it. Like, what is this? I am an Indian beating up Indians, so it will give very negative impact and all. But Rajamouli was like, no, this is how the character is set. It has a nice character arc, which transforms in the end, and like people will really appreciate it kind of a thing. So coming to how practically we pulled it off is like, we again started off with lots of rehearsals. We did the rehearsals for almost 2 to 3 months. Like different moves of how to do it, where to do it. Then we had circles of actors kind of thing. Like first it was the fighters, then a little like junior fighters kind of a thing. Then like actors who can actually fight. So like that, it was like a layered around him, like Ram Charan, like kind of thing when he's inside. Because once you tell action, people you can't tell cut. Even if you tell cut, shout, people can't hear. They are there in that kind of a mood. So it was like very, very challenging of like to have that kind of a responsibility of putting actors who know what to do with him, how to behave with him. So it was a very, very risky kind of thing. So when we were doing it, that was the first time I really, when I was shooting it, I felt like, okay, we are doing something which has not been done before, kind of a feel I got when we were doing this sequence, which really like for the whole team, it just escalated because it was done at the first sequence of the film, second sequence of the film which we did. And we were so high when we were doing it, like we were really positive, like, okay, like, and the whole team were like, okay, yeah. So now this is the benchmark we are setting for ourselves of what level of filmmaking we have to do kind of a thing. So though that...
How many days was this specific sequence?
It was shot around 30 days or something, like 30 odd days kind of a thing. Because it had lots of action. Action generally takes a little bit of time and I think so. So like in RRR also we shot for almost 360 days. But if you take the talkie portions where dialogues are there, it was shot like probably around 70-80 days, or the other part is all about action kind of a thing. Like so because director is very particular of it has to be done in a certain way kind of a thing. So that's where the challenge happens. If it can, okay, kuch bhi ho, ye finish karna hai kind of thing, then it is different.
And how many cameras did you have on this?
I am a big one camera, single camera fan.
So you still worked with that?
I still worked with that. There are a few sequences like, okay, 2 cameras kind of thing, but that was the majority of 1 or 2 cameras. So as I told you, the second camera is always, what I can say, you are compromised kind of a thing in terms of like storytelling if you want. Because like one angle really is a very powerful of dramatically like what you want to tell. That is the place.
That's the right angle.
That's the right angle.
So the next
So
one
next
is
angle is okay,
not.
like you're trying to like get out of the way of the light or get out of the way of the sun or something like like try to okay, this camera's vision is this, okay, like iske baar hum kahan rakh sakte hain. So that is where you are trying to position it kind of a thing. Sometimes like the same angle if you're shooting, it is like good. So it was shot majorly with 2 cameras kind of a thing. So and also like lots of handheld shots were done and other things. So we wanted the biggest challenge one is in this sequence was to make the audience feel as if they are a part of that commotion which is there.
You're in
like
there
in
with
there
him.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of a feeling we wanted to create.
Yeah.
So for that, I don't think multi-camera would have helped in any way. Like so because I actually took the camera inside the group and we were inside.
No, you have the
action,
shot where you're
exactly,
in and the men are above.
So those kind of things were all like we created that feel of like you are being you can feel what Ram is feeling. You can see his expression. If you see because that is very important, because in an action sequence generally like you actors or the guy who is fighting will have lots of emotion in them, like what you can say raundram kind of an emotion. But if you see Ram Charan's emotion is very still kind of thing. He's like a what I can say sage who is meditating in a meditative state. He's fighting it only like normally, not involved with what is happening around him. He has his own state. So that Rajamouli wanted audience to see that. So that was my challenge. Ki like okay, like that expression should not be lost in that. So I have to be close to the actor, see his expression correctly, but at the same time like capturing what is going on around kind of a thing. So that was the challenge. So like so these kind of things. I don't know, maybe like people might capture in multi-cameras, but I am not in a position, I can't do it kind of a thing. So like we could pull it off because we did extensive pre-production of like okay, what angle we have to do, how the camera has to move, who are the actors who are involved in it, so like what time of the day we have to do it. So those kind of things. We shot it in Ramoji Film City on the outskirts. We put up a set kind of a thing. So there we shot it.
And you prefer that as much as possible the effects are in camera?
Yeah, I prefer, and even like Srinivas Mohan, our CG guy, he also like we were on the same idea of like see like you can do lots in VFX. There is no doubt about it.
Right.
Like
you can do anything.
You can literally do anything. But the problem what happens is like when you're seeing it and giving corrections, you don't know. Like you don't know for 100% sure ki okay, isse zyada. So many corrections keep happening kind of a thing. Like okay, so everyone will give a suggestion. Like a director will have a suggestion, cinematographer will have a suggestion, the writer will have a suggestion and all. So and probably you don't know like whether we are going in the right direction, wrong direction. So they're like okay, since we have a strong director, he defines it. But majority of time what happens is you get lost in the process. So as much as possible, getting on camera is the most preferred thing. And extension and addition of small things, highlighting things is always preferable kind of thing. So that is my preference is 99% of the time do what is possible on camera, and what is not possible beyond our control we will go to CGI kind of a thing. So that was the approach generally like for this film we had. So that's why like we took time, and we, God's grace, had the luxury of the budget, which is very, very important. Because probably like everyone wants to do it, but they will not have the luxury. So like we generally like be doing film with Rajamouli, that luxury is there. Like okay.
Yeah, that won't be an issue. Okay, I have one more question before we move on to the next section. Yeah. When you create Senthil images that are so incredible, right? And they become so iconic. Like nobody who's seen this animal image or who's seen the Baahubali films or the RRR thing can forget this, right? When you and Rajamouli sit now to do the next one, do you look at each other and say, how do we top this?
No, it is like, it is more of his challenge. So like he comes up with ideas. So how to pull it off would probably be my challenge rather than see, like it is not like always what I can say. we get ideas of how to top it up. That is always there, like, okay, how to top it up what we have done earlier is always there.
Yeah.
But it should actually come up from the film cinema itself. Like, okay, this is the sequence which has to
from the story.
from the story kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Or like in majority of the film, Rajamouli is like, he wants this moment in the film kind of a thing. So we define that moment, and how we integrate into that film is one more challenge kind of thing.
Because you have set the bar very high. I don't know what you're going to do. I can't wait to see it. Okay, moving on to section 3. Senthil, now I want 3 recommendations. Films, books, paintings, anything that inspires you as an artist.
Okay, that's a very difficult question now. Because films-wise, it is very, very difficult to tell that, okay, this film is good or this film to recommend kind of a thing. But my personal favorite, like when I started off my journey till date, is the film called Godfather. Like Gordon Willis, the cinematographer I admire, is one guy who actually brought philosophy into cinematography kind of a thing. So that is one film I would recommend anyone. And there are different styles of cinematography or like films which people like. So I would prefer like whatever they like, because like it is very difficult, because Gordon Willis was the name which stuck to me because I was so impressed with that film. But other cinematographers' works, it is very, very difficult to do it. But still...
is there a film you keep watching? Like, is there a film that you watch just for the joy or the inspiration?
Not for inspiration, but I am a big fan of Kurosawa. So, like, I keep watching his films because the kind of, what I can say, all his emotions are really like exaggerated in terms of like, okay, like one guy reacting, 20 people will react. So that enhances the emotion to such an extent, and his usage of what I can say, natural elements like wind, fire, water, and all is like phenomenal. That really amplifies and the emotion which is trying to tell. So that is one guy's films Kurosawa's films you should watch. If you are a cinematographer, not a cinematographer, if you want to be a good filmmaker, you should watch Kurosawa's films. So like, and I am a big fan of nature. I keep observing, and nature is so dramatic. It's so dramatic. You don't know, like, it just suddenly you start looking at sky. Sometimes it gives us dramatic transformation which happens in the sky to like. So like, okay, if you recommendation, if you ask, like to start off with, 5 C's of cinematography is something which is incredible to start with, to understand, okay, like where you to start with, how to go about, what is a camera angle, what is a composition, what are its important. That is one book when I started my career, I read through, and sometimes I keep going just for the heck of it. Like it really like what I can say, helps you in so many ways.
Yeah.
And one more book I suddenly flashed in my mind is Masters of Light. There's a book which is a compilation of interviews of the philosophy which the cinematographers had when they were shooting their films or their career kind of thing. That's one must-read books for every cinematographer. It's called Masters of Light. It's a great series.
How lovely. And Senthil, are you constantly observing?
It has become a second nature kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Initially, you have to start off kind of a thing.
Looking,
like observing kind of a thing. Like, okay, you are looking at something, for example, like I want to study, like it just happens when sometimes you want to buy a shoe. You start observing shoes of different people, different thing. It naturally comes kind of a thing. Or if you want to buy a car, so when you go out on the road, you see a Merc, you see Maruti, you see so many cars. You start observing, okay, what color is good, what is this? So that kind of a things. So that urge, if you have in yourself, that comes naturally. So like you start observing things, and something which strikes you just stays in your mind kind of a thing. You just keep observing kind of a thing. So that is what I think anyone in film should develop, that kind of a thing, for not only for cinematographer, for director, for actors, for everyone. The moment you start observing things, you learn so many things, because everyone can't get that in a book, or like can't observe an actor, or like can't observe something and picks up. You have to develop a second nature of observing thing, because in real world there is so much of drama which is happening. So how observant you are for it defines like how much is your output in terms of your work. So
you're making mental notes.
yeah, exactly.
And I want you to give us 2 sort of practical things that aspiring DOPs or new DOPs should follow. I know that you make a lot of notes, physical notes yourself. है ना? Is that a practice you advise for other people?
More than that, ma'am, like when I was doing this film called Aithe, my first,
Which is the first, yeah.
which is my first film, there's one song in that film. So we were like, actually, like I and my director, it's a debut for all of us, actually 5 people, like me, my director, my editor, art director, music director, actors. It was a debut for everything. It was like a bunch of boys given money to do a film kind of a thing. It was like fun. So we were not shooting that film because we thought like we want to create a mark, something like that. So 2 days happened, 3 days happened, like we were postponing. The producer was really getting on to us, and like then director told like, okay, like I say high kind of thing. So he then producer was, next week you have to shoot it, no telling. Then director sent me to him and tell that, okay, like we need a few more days. So I went and spoke to Gangaraj Garu. So, and I told him, sir, I think we can't shoot next week. We might need 10 days. Yeah, like casually, I was like, why? And then he told like, then I told like, sir, we want to do a perfect song. We want looking at perfection. Then he asked me, what is perfection? So I was like, sir, perfection is a betterment of things. Yeah, that is it. So if I give you 1 month, you will do a better job. If I give you 2 months, you will give a better job. If I give you budget and money, you will do a better job. There is nothing called perfect in this world. It is like, in this given situation, what best you can do is perfect. So you go and do the song next weekend. So that's my advice, is like, we should not be looking for like doing something, man. There is nothing called perfect in this world. So I always feel that in your given situation, given time, what best you can do, you should try to do it always. Yeah. Whether you have, you're doing 100 crore film, or you're doing a 1 crore film, you have 10 lights, you don't have 10 lights, you have 1 light. So what best you can do with that 1 light, and what best you can do in that 5 minutes you are given, should be your life mantra. So in whatever situation, what best you can do. This also happened like when I was studying in film school. There was a cinematographer called Raul Cotard. He's a French cinematographer. He came to take a workshop with us. So what baffled me at that time was, you tell him to shoot anywhere, anything, you would come up with a frame which was fabulous all the time, whether you're given light or whether you're given. So that's what like I was aspiring to become, like, okay, let me do something, like try to find out what I can do with the thing. So that is my life lesson.
I think that's an incredible advice for anyone actually. Hannah, it's not just for DOPs, it's for everybody.
That's what,
You do the best you can in the given situation.
Yes.
Correct?
One more thing I always follow is I don't complicate things, man. Like I try to keep it as simple as possible. Like suppose I have to light up a sequence, so I'll not try to do something which I'm trying to get some shot, like some dramatic angle. I don't try to go in that way at all. Like, so like, okay, this is required, we need a certain angle, so what best I can do it and the most simplest possible way how I can do it. So that is always. So I try to keep things as simple as possible. And sometimes that simplicity, actually, with that simplicity, you get very, very dramatic things happen.
It connects
better, actually. So I always try to keep things simple. If you see my films, there are no dramatic camera movements are there. Like there's no like dramatic camera angles, which are like use an extreme wide angle, like, or like do what I can say, wide close, or like, which like, and the camera is constantly moving, coming from there, here. So I don't believe in creating unnecessary dramatizing things. So like I try to keep it simple movement, simple lighting, simple camera angles. So it is actually very difficult to do it simply. So but I always feel that when you do it simply, it is easy for the audience to connect and understand what you're telling to do. So
Absolutely.
my advice is try to keep it as simple as possible.
That's fab. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
Everything. Life and the camera.
correct, exactly.
Is there a life mantra that you live by?
Actually, I am a very patient person, because I know things don't go the way you want things to go. But a few years back, I went to Vipassana. There's something called Vipassana camp, where for 10 days you go, don't talk, don't write, don't read, and all this kind of things. There I really liked the motto which actually I formed. In life, anything can go wrong or right. You don't have any control over it. So the coffee can spill, I can topple, or something, anything can happen. Suddenly something will fall. Or suppose if I am you can shout at me, or something it. My thing is you can not control the action, you can control the result. How you react will define how the next action is going to be. If you shout at me, I shout you back, then I am giving you a chance to shout at back. If I observe it and wait for a second and I answer, I try to understand why it happened, then so many things in life are resolved. So it's always it is, your life is in your hand. How you react to things will define how the other person reacts to you.
So control your reactions.
No, observe. Observe and control, why it happened. It's it purely because you don't have any control over what is going to happen. You have only control in how you react to that situation. Yeah. So you react in the best possible way, the result will define, the course of action will be in that way.
Yeah. Wise words. This has been so amazing, Senthil. Thank you. And I really want to see what you'll do to top the animal shot in RRR. I cannot wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.